Thanks, Owen. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Great. Hope everybody at home is doing well too. We return to our study through 1 John, and this morning let's read chapter 2, verses 9 through 11. 1 John chapter 2, verses 9 through 11.
Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates his brother is still in the darkness.
Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble.
But whoever hates his brother is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. He does not know where he is going because the darkness has blinded him. Well, talking about brothers who love each other today, aren't we?
Yes.
Very relatable.
The application is a gimme
You know what? I don't
today.
even think we have to read this right now.
You got it. I could just
For fun.
take notes of your behavior toward each other, and that would be pretty much the same thing, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. What's our context?
We're still talking about darkness and light.
Mm-hmm. All right. Two different ways of
Either
living.
or, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And John we've seen he's speaking in pretty stark terms, contrast. All this or all that, right? There's not much wiggle room or gray area. Truth or lies, light or dark, right? All right, and now this morning he's talking about our behavior, right? How we treat other people, how we treat our brother. And I think the English Standard Version slipped "and sisters"
Yes.
in there as well.
Very progressive over there.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case, Owen, but thanks for bringing that into our Bible study. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our context. What about highlights of our text today? What are some important details?
Love is obviously a big one in God's mind.
Certainly.
And,
Emphasized?
yeah.
What about at the end of verse 9? 10. At the end of verse 10, all of verse 10, let's say. Whoever loves his brother,
Mhm.
right, comes across as a lifestyle,
Mhm.
right? Not just hey, you did something nice for somebody 2 days ago, you're good. But a lifestyle of being others-centered and putting others' best interests first before your own,
Yeah.
right? Is that a fair understanding of what John's? That person lives in the light, ongoing lifestyle, living in the light, and there is nothing in him to make him stumble. I found that an important part
Yeah,
of this.
almost
text.
seems like flawlessness.
Oh,
That's what I
because there's if that's the way you're living, then there's no way you'll get tripped up.
I guess is what he's saying,
Yeah, but we know he doesn't mean that that flawlessness is because we've already understood. He said, "Hey, if you do sin, you've got an advocate." So
Yeah.
we're not looking for perfection. We're aiming
Sure,
for
yeah,
perfection,
sure.
but there's grace.
Right, yeah, I think that's what is before he's talking about pretty vague stuff,
Okay.
like you will sin, try not to sin, and then he gets into the more detailed, which is love everyone.
More specific.
Yeah.
And okay, here's how to apply
Yeah,
that.
right. Here's how to walk with God.
Okay.
is what he
Awesome.
says, I think.
Yeah. Very good. And then you don't stumble. In
Mhm.
fact, there's nothing in you that would lead you to stumble.
Right.
And I think that's maybe a hint as to what's to come in some subsequent verses
Okay.
about what might be in us that could cause us to stumble in our lives. And so long as we are doing, you ever look like not think that you're doing something wrong, or maybe that you've made a bad decision, maybe in a moral sense particularly. You genuinely had no idea that you were messing up. It's only when you look back on it later and you say, oh, yeah, that I shouldn't have done that. Not that you guys have ever, that you've experienced that, but I mean, you could imagine other people elsewhere who might look back and say, I really messed
Yeah.
that
Yeah, sure.
up, right? Yeah. It seems to me that what John is saying here is that if what we do is love other people, if we behave in a way that puts other people's best interest, that's not the same as necessarily being nice and never saying anything or doing anything that would bother anyone. That's not
going out of your
necessarily
way to,
loving,
yeah, I get
right?
it.
That's not always loving. To say the nice thing isn't always to be loving. Sometimes, there are situations where things are a little uncomfortable, right? But you're still being loving. I mean, that's part of being a Christian, I think, is being able to speak the truth in love, with the understanding it's not always pleasant. But if we behave in a way that is loving toward others, genuinely loving, with their best interests at heart, then maybe we're not going to stumble, and we're not going to look back later and say, oh, I really messed that up. I made the wrong call. I handled that poorly. If we're living a lifestyle of love toward others. What do you think?
Sure, that makes sense.
So our application, if that's the case today,
Love your brother.
can we just hug? Can we just,
No.
you guys, I can just move back and you guys can hug.
I don't know. I think that's a different kind of love that isn't spoken in here.
Okay, so we'll do the other kind today.
Which
We
I
will
think-
live
Yeah.
a lifestyle of loving our brother and sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before we wrap it up today? Well, thanks for being with us, and we look forward to our next time together, and encourage you as we encourage ourselves to live lives putting others in their best interest, loving others first. All right, thanks.